So thank you everyone for tuning in. There is a lot to talk about today. I actually want to start with there's a lot of action right now in Gaza. Clearly, we don't know exactly what's going on, but I want to share with you a few some footage from the spokesperson of the IDF. So let me just here it is. Okay, so this was just published on Walla, which is a famous news site in Israel. So let's take a look. Just the footage. Maybe I can add the sound. There is some sound now. Okay, so these are some of the footage that the Israeli army's spokesperson launched and published. So they have pretty active social media accounts where you can see more of the footage. Clearly, it's not live, so it probably took place a few days ago. They don't tell or show you what's going on right now because of security issues. Yeah, but from what I understand, there is a lot of fighting right now, and we will pray for our soldiers. I want to start with the update with a few photos over here. So this was published. I've seen it just today, but it's pretty recent. These are satellite footage of October 7th from space, just so you can see the amount of smoke and everything that is going on here. Just nasty fire. You can actually see the yellow is actual fire. Okay, so you can see the amount of damage that was going on. Yeah, so that's how it looked like. Give me 1 second. It's okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's how it looked like, just to give you another perspective of the atrocities that were going on. There is I put it, I think, in the description of the WhatsApp group. It's a site called October7.org, where you can see a lot of the testimonies of the survivors or people that were involved as security forces or as civilians. So October7.org. This is Salman Habka, one of the soldiers that were killed, I think, 2 days ago. He's a commander of a battalion, a lieutenant colonel, and from his name you can tell he's not Jewish, he's Druze. Okay, so the Druze is a minority that is very loyal to Israel. It's part of their religious commandments, basically, to be loyal to every country they are in. So the Druze in Israel are loyal to Israel, in Lebanon to Lebanon, etc. So he's Druze, and he's from the Galilee. And the person that published the picture and the text is our former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett. And what he says that his soldier, so he says that Salman was teaching Bible to his soldiers every week. It's quite amazing. It was, there's the weekly portion of the Bible that we read every week, the parasha it's called, and he was teaching that to his soldiers, which is quite amazing. So I thought I'll share this one with you. Saman Habka. We are praying for our soldiers, for our the hostages as well. This is Noal Gamani, one of the young women that were captured by Hamas, and her became pretty iconic because she was kidnapped on a motorcycle, and this video was circulating worldwide. So these are all kinds of art pieces of Noah, painting Noah basically, and that's what you see here. I mentioned this young girl, Avigail Idan. It's simply heartbreaking. I can't stop thinking about her. She's 3 or 4 years old, and her parents were murdered in the attack of October 7th. Two of her siblings were hiding in a closet and survived, but she was kidnapped alone into Gaza, which is completely heartbreaking. And that's the girl that I constantly think about. There are many foreign nationals that were killed during the attack. One of them is Paul from the Philippines. He was married to a woman called Belle, and she was pregnant, and I think in a couple of months she will give birth, but the baby will not meet his father, a son, a baby boy. So this is again one of the victims of the attack. I mentioned this artist before, Shoshke Engelmeyer, and the way he draw the war basically. So on the right side, he shows you the people in bomb shelters. The bomb shelters are not underground in Israel. We have those, but since somewhere in the 80s or 90s, each apartment or each floor has a shelter. So usually we don't have to go all the way down. We just go to the next room, which is a bomb shelter basically, or in some other buildings, just go to the same, on the same floor there is a bomb shelter. So that's on the right. Everyone is like frustrated in his own cube. And on the left side, he draw signs for families that will not live here anymore. Whether it's a grandfather and a grandmother and a cat, a family with a child and 2 dogs, a family of 2 children, etc. So that's two young women and a baby, meaning gay women. So that's the way he expressed it, and he designed these signs for all the families that were either lost their dear ones, or in some cases all of them were killed. Where's Emma? Help us bring her home. So again, if you'll take a few seconds, maybe you'll find Emma in the terror tunnels of Hamas. That's what you see over here. She's up here. If you notice in the upper part. The pictures of the hostages, of those who were kidnapped, are it's a part of a worldwide campaign. Basically, all over the world, people creating awareness to the hostages situation. Meaning, people are talking about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, but are not mentioning the hostages that are kept there. More than 240, I think now it's 242. So as the campaign goes, people start to rip it off. People that oppose Israel and are pro-Palestine or pro-Hamas. And this woman decided to put Vaseline on the sign so that it will be too slippery to take it off. So people are being creative, and I thought I'll share it with you. So we're praying for the hostages, for those who are injured, for the victims and their families, for the survivors, for our brave soldiers that are fighting right now. I will get to what's going on as far as we know, and for the volunteers of Zaka that are still recovering and still finding bodies even today. So we're going to read Psalm 20. המנצח מזמור לדוד, יענך אדוני ביום צרה, ישגבך שם אלוהי יעקב, ישלח עזרך מקודש ומציון יסעדך, יזכור כל מנחותיך ועולתך ידשן הסלע, תן לך כלבביך וכל עצתך ימלא, נעננה בשועתך ובשם אלוהינו נדגול, ימלא אדוני כל משאלותיך, עתה ידעתי כי הושיע אדוני משיחו, יענהו משמי קודשו בגבורות ישע ימינו, אלה ברכב ואלה בסוסים, ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר, המה קראו ונפלו ואנחנו קמנו ונתעודד. אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ביום קוראנו. Okay. As always, Psalm is spot on in every word. Well, we always say Misha Berach, prayer for the members of the Israeli soldiers. So we wish that they will strike down our enemies. And with that, I'll before we start the updates, if there's let's have a round of questions. If you guys have any question, you're most welcome. See some action on the chat. Number 7. What do you mean, Justine? Ah, yeah, I think I understood what you're talking. Verse 7, I guess. Okay. Are all the aid lorries that go into Gaza checked? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, who will check them? The Egyptians, maybe the Egyptians, but not checked by Israel anyway.
Itamar, are there any protests in Israel, supporting the humanitarian aspect of the war in Gaza?
No, not in big scale. There is a protest that happened yesterday in Haifa that I will bring up later, but not exactly a protest actually. It was more like a solidarity kind of meeting of Muslims, but I'll explain the context later. You'll see it's a little different than what it sounds. But no, I mean there was very small scale protests, as far as I'm aware, in Haifa, but nothing too serious. Again, because the Arab Israelis are also quite afraid right now. They see the spirit of Israel that is willing to fight, willing to do everything it can in order to keep our national security. I want to say there were indictments against, I think, like 50 Arab Israelis that expressed a pro-Hamas kind of a affiliation and pro-Hamas slogans and stuff like that. So they, including pretty famous women. I mentioned an actress last week. So yeah, they see that Israel will not be silent right now. It doesn't mean that people don't have these ideas and these thoughts in mind, but no protests from what I've seen. Okay. Anyone else? Whatever you want to express, feel absolutely free to open the microphone and write on the chat. Okay.
Itamar, just one thing.
Very good.
There was something about a bomb over Tel Aviv a few days ago. Do you know anything about that, or
what kind of bomb?
It was intercepted, but you don't know anything.
No, I mean, didn't hear anything special about it.
Okay.
I mean, no. Okay. So as far as I'm aware, the situation is that Gaza City is basically surrounded. Now, the geography of Gaza is that there is a wadi or a stream called Gaza Stream comes from Beersheba area basically, and that basically the red line that you see over here. Okay, so the northern part of Gaza is controlled, is surrounded basically. The city itself is not controlled by Israel, but it's surrounded by Israel, including on the beach. And the idea, from what I understand, is that the terror tunnels and the underground tunnels, this whole underground city that Hamas built, is cut off over here. So there's like a whole metro, what we call the metro of Hamas under the city, and then there is the Gaza Stream over here, and then there's another part of that in the southern part, which would make sense, but who knows? I mean, again, that's what I understand. Are there any underground tunnels under the Gaza Stream? Yes or no? I don't know. Okay, but that's what you see. That's the reasoning behind it. So if you control the northern part, you're basically surrounding all the headquarters of Hamas in Gaza City, including under Shifa Hospital, which is currently, I mean, the attacks are going to get there. I mean, the Israeli offense is going to get there, basically. That's the Hamas headquarters. So again, Shifa Hospital, that's an actual hospital, but underneath it, there's like the actual headquarters. And it was done this way deliberately by Hamas, so Israel would not be able to attack it without causing massive amount of casualties, civilian casualties. So now the city is surrounded, and Israel is basically moving. The ground attack basically is moving forward to that headquarters. That's what I understand. Okay, I don't really know anything beside of the open source, so that's what I know. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, in the afternoons, I take my son different places. This is the Bell Park, not too far from the train station, first train station in Jerusalem. There's like a nice park over there. And I noticed something that I've never seen it in Israel, I must say, but it was very interesting to see that the sign, which is of the Jerusalem municipality, okay, it's like an official sign. It's not some small organization came up with that, puts the marhaba in Arabic, the hello or welcome in Arabic, on the top, then English, and then the Hebrew is on the at the bottom. Like if you'll come to Israel, or if you've been to Israel, you've seen all the signs are basically Hebrew, Arabic, English. That's the order: Hebrew, Arabic, English. Over here, it's quite different, and I thought it's surprising. It just goes to show you again the level of openness and respect Israel has to all its minorities, and I was surprised to see that. I mean, I didn't mind, but I'm just saying that it's something that I saw here. Also in Jerusalem, it's on Jaffa Street, so where the tram goes basically. I saw these two signs over here. So on the bottom it says "United until the victory." Okay, some organization, whatever, some initiative. United until the victory. But on this sign over here, it shows you Hitler and Hitler on the right. Okay, look carefully, and Nasrallah. Nasrallah is the head of Hezbollah, basically the Shiite militia in Lebanon. And it says it's us or them. We must destroy or must annihilate Islamic terrorism. Okay. Now this is I didn't understand which organization is that, but to have that on Jaffa Street, that's what Israelis think basically. We must uproot, we must annihilate Islamic terrorism. Now, for us Israelis, it sounds like, yeah, that's the discourse for many years. Like, if okay, so it's on a sign. It's like quite unusual to see it on a sign, but that's the discourse. And I guess it's very different than the discourse in generally in the West, that there's a lot of concern from Islamophobia, especially after, I don't know, 9/11, I guess, a fear of, being having wave of hatred towards Muslims for just being Muslims, which is not really the case in Israel. We're talking about all the expressions of violence that is motivated or incentivized. There's an incentive of it because of the Muslim faith. So this is again in the discourse, and now I saw it in a sign. So in Israel, it's very much something that we live through, because generation after generation we're dealing with Islamic terrorism, or let's say at least since the 70s. And before that, it was okay. It was the Arab-Israeli conflict, or the Arab-Israeli ongoing animosity. That was in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But since the 70s, I would say it moved into more there's like an Islamic phase. Okay, after the ideology of Jamal Abdel Nasser, Pan-Arabism basically failed, especially in 1967, and after Egypt basically signed peace agreement with Israel, then the organizations that are motivated by Islam emerged and thrived. Again, Hezbollah, Hamas, other organizations. So this is the discourse here. In the West, I'm not sure to what extent people have this conversation, or talk about it, or express it in this way. You can share it, of course. What you see here is the map of Israel, and it's a song. It's a very famous song, actually. I don't have any other land. En li eretz acheret. So the actual song is written like that, and I saw people posting that and turning their cover photo to that. So I thought it was interesting to show you that people really feel that that's it. We're fighting for our homes, for our families. It's and we just can't lose. Something that happened yesterday. This is Elon Levy, which I know him in person. Okay, he's part of the spokesperson of the prime minister, basically, or prime minister office, and they launched a warning to Israelis not basically to travel abroad unless they really need to, and if they need to, okay, just hide your Jewish and Israeli identity, basically. So there's a global travel warning that was just launched yesterday. So this is where we're at. Thought you should know. On my YouTube channel, there's a playlist about the war in Gaza. It's on our WhatsApp description. So beside of the recording of these meetings, I also added all kinds of other videos that I think you should watch. I think a lot of it touches. It's not news what I'm sharing with you. It's all kinds of videos that discuss the ideas and the undercurrents that led to the attack, what's the mindset of our enemies, etc. So all kinds of interesting things that I think you should watch, including this lady. She's a lawyer. She's an expert in international law, and she explains all kinds of misunderstandings about the accusations against Israel. I thought you should really watch it because you're going to hear a lot about genocide and indiscriminately Israel shooting people, all kinds of stuff like that, which aren't true. So she explains that, and I think you should watch. I think it's 30 minutes or so, not too long, and really worthwhile. Few funny things. This soldier is on his way to his base. You can see him with the gun and everything, and his helmet is of a kind of a bunny, fairy bunny or something like that. So people on the road took a video of that. It was very, very funny, circulating here. And over here, it's a girl that her mother, again, that's the joke, as if she was on weed, and she dressed up like she wearing her uniform and took a gun and said, I'm going to fight Hamas. And her mother said, what, they recruited you? She said, no, I'm volunteering. So anyway, it was kind of a funny thing that was circulating here. Again, I'm keeping some Israeli humor during the war. What you see here is a Bible teacher in the Bible class in 2123. Okay, so 100 years from now, and it's as if they added another book to the Bible that is called Iron Swords. That's the name of the war. The name of the war is Iron Swords, and so Iron Swords, chapter 2, the story of Rachel, the wife of David. So of course they refer to famous Rachel of Ofakim. Rachel is the woman that was taken hostage by Hamas in her apartment, and somehow she managed to survive these 20 hours with these terrorists, and ultimately the police managed to kill the terrorists, and she wasn't harmed, her husband David wasn't harmed. So as if there is like a new book in the Bible about the war and about this famous Rachel, this famous woman. Let's take a look. Chris is asking, do you have the link to the BBC interview with Natasha? It's Chris, it's on my YouTube channel. There is the playlist about Gaza, and then you can, it's there. But not the BBC one. No, it's you're right. It's something else. Chris, if you can send it to me, I can check it out and add it. Thank you. Yeah, my mistake. Okay. This is a funny guy that they published a photo of a terrorist that was killed in Gaza. This one, and this TikToker looks a lot like him, so people texted him and said, "Oh, you were killed in Gaza." So again, this guy is an actual terrorist of Hamas, and this guy is just an Israeli comedian. So another funny thing to look at is that, you know, Israelis are, many of them, including myself, coming from originating in Arab countries, Muslim countries. Many of us are brown skin, fair skin, darker skin, and yeah, it's just that's how it is. Okay, Chris, you couldn't find it. It's fine. Okay, don't worry about it. So anyway, I thought I'll share this one with you. Another funny thing, mocking the Israelis are making fun of our enemies. So this is Emilia. She became famous because of her daughter. Her daughter constantly upload recordings of her speaking to her mother. That's the mother, Emilia, and very, very funny Russian family. Very, very funny. And as on Friday, the Israelis were waiting for the speech of Nasrallah. Nasrallah is, again, the head of Hezbollah in Lebanon. And people wanted to say, are we opening another front with Lebanon? Yes, no, let's see what he has to say. And he said something that kind of indicated that he's not interested in war, basically. Who knows? Again, that's at least was the speech. But before that, she uploaded this one, and the mother, they're Russians, okay? So the mother is saying, do you know what Nasrallah is in Russian? And daughter says, no, what is it? It means she took a dump. That's what it means in Russian. So this very, very funny Russian Jewish family. So that's the Nasrallah. Again, part of the war. What you see here is I want to show you a few ads of the Israeli army and the Ministry of Defense that encourage ultra-Orthodox basically to join the army. And the interesting part is that there is cooperation of ultra-Orthodox outlets and medias and newspapers with this. Okay, it means like they don't take it off and say, no, we don't want our people to be exposed to that. No, they actually printed that in their papers and all that. So it was very, very unusual. And just to read, you know, what the phrasing of it is very ultra-Orthodox. They actually, like, for example, they have a quote over here: "You remember your Lord that gives you strength that give you the strength to do His will," basically, or with the help of God we will prevail. And then on the left part over here, I'm kind of enlarging a part of this ad. It says, "We need you. If you don't study in the yeshiva, your place is with us." Okay, so very interesting ads. Another over here. It shows you that within 2 weeks you'll go through the basic training. You won't be with women. Okay, it's very important for them. Modesty. Again, they're ultra orthodox. Kosher mehadrin, meaning very, very kosher food. Okay, so according to the chief rabbi of the Israeli army. And during the training, you'll also have time for prayer and to study Torah. So that's a part of the ads that are circulating in the ultra Orthodox community. And there was another one over here. Again, just the way they phrase it, you just see the language. It's very, very ultra Orthodox language. So this one, I won't explain the entire thing, but just the name of it, the name of the campaign, let's say, is Haredim LeIsrael, meaning Haredi, ultra Orthodox for Israel, but it's also, Haredi also means in Hebrew, the fearful ones. Okay, so those who are afraid of God or fear of God. So we are fearful for Israel. So this is the poem that they are using. Anyway, the way it's phrased, the way it's articulated is very, very much in the language of the people that they're talking to. So yesterday there was about the Arab Israelis. Yesterday there was I didn't get to all the details, but this is what I understood. There was a solidarity meeting, I would say, in Haifa. Arab Muslims for Israel and for the and against the bloodshed, basically. A lot of it was a bit vague, okay, especially a parliament member called Ayman Aude that lives there. He lives in that neighborhood. That again is always speaking for both sides of his mouth, talking about the necessity to protect civilians. So clearly, our civilians already butchered, but we should take care of the civilians. That's again the mindset of Ayman Aude. I had no expectations from him. This woman, I think her name is Radira Hani, an activist, kind of like a peace activist and a Muslim one that actually lost some of her friends, or some of her friends were kidnapped into Gaza. Expressed more solidarity, but especially with the people that she actually familiar with. And in the place where this meeting took place is Kababir neighborhood in Haifa. Now, Kababir neighborhood in Haifa is a unique neighborhood. It's the neighborhood of the Ahmadi Muslims. Now, I don't know if you're aware of what, like all these branches of Islam, but Ahmadi Muslims are considered to be infidels as far as Sunni Muslims concerned, because they have another prophet after Muhammad, and they're pacifists. But anyway, the Ahmadi Muslims are a very peaceful, pacifistic kind of Muslims, only believing in proselytizing Islam through, just without jihad, basically, with no violence. But the point is that they are, for Muslims, they're not considered to be Muslims. They're infidels. So the fact that this is the stage that was chosen is just indicative of, where exactly the Arab Israelis are. I mean, I'm sure many of them are not happy with the massacre. They won't express it necessarily out loud, beside of very, very few, and some of them were actually Arab Christians. So all in all, it seems like how should I put it, the social pressure of not having solidarity with Israel is yet very, very strong. Okay, so again, I guess that in Arab, if you talk directly to one of the Arab Muslims of Israel, they will, say, no, it was very bad that this massacre happened, but will you go online and speak it with your face shown and everything? Of course not. I mean, they'll just be intimidated by other people that could harm them. So this is where we at. Okay, again, it's not surprising, but it's very sad, because the atrocities should shake the heart of every decent human being, the way I see it. But again, that's the society that we're talking about. Okay, other Arab Israelis that I wanted to point out. This man on the left was killed in the October 7th. His name is Amr Abu Sabila. He's a Bedouin Muslim man that actually helped and maybe even saved. I found it hard to find the details, but he probably saved a mother and two daughters during the attack on October 7th, but he was actually killed by the terrorists. So again, that's Amr Abu Sabila. In his last minutes, he actually helped and save a Jewish woman and her two daughters. The one on the right, I couldn't find his name. Maybe his name is mentioned somewhere, but I couldn't find his name. He's a Muslim employee from Haifa that helps with the identification and the recovery of the bodies of those who were killed during October 7th. Again, we're talking about a month later, um, and we're still finding bodies, taking care of different bodies, trying to identify different bodies through DNA. And in the Jewish law, it's really bad. Like to be a month later and still not recover and bury bodies, it's very very bad. In most of Israel, definitely in Jerusalem, but in other parts of the country, the Jewish law basically tells you as soon as you possibly can, you have to bury the body. Otherwise, it's desecrating the body. So how fast? Sometimes the funerals takes place 2 hours after the person died, like 2 hours. No one is waiting immediately to bury the person. And over here we're a month later and still recovering bodies. But this righteous person, again, he's an Arab Muslim, but I couldn't find his name. Is helping with it voluntarily, which is very amazing. So I wanted to share that with you. This gentleman is from the family called Mohammed. I couldn't catch his name. Mohammed is a very big family, very big Muslim family, and he is an Arab Muslim Israeli that serves in the Israeli army in a combat unit. So I thought it's worthwhile to show you this gentleman. He's not alone. There are many Arab Muslims that serve in the Israeli army, and proudly. So it goes to show you the different directions that the Arab society in Israel has. As far as the West concerned, again, the way I see it, it's not like I can speak on my behalf, okay, but it's not like I expect people to support Israel. I think people in Western countries, Western democracies, should support their own values and fight for their own values and fight for the identity of their own country. So it's not exactly that Israelis or Jews around the world are asking people that are not Jewish or people that they don't know nothing about the Israel and the conflict, and maybe they even shouldn't know. I don't know. It's up to them. But something seismic is happening, and I think that the West should fight for its own values and morality, and people should do something about it for the sake of their own country, not for Israel even. There are a lot of protests going on. Over here, I've seen what captured my eyes is actually this one. It's not new. There's like a lot of photos like that in the last few years. I've seen it many times. All the chants of Intifada, a second Intifada, a second uprising, a third Intifada, a third uprising of Palestinians against Israel. But in this case, okay, and this has been going on for like a few years now, a call to globalize the Intifada, meaning the Intifada, the uprising against Israel, is actually not just against Israel. It's like you have to globalize it. You have to do Intifada. You have to do an uprising against who? Against I assume Jews abroad, but I'm not even sure. Okay, so we'll have to ask the protesters. The way I see it is globalizing the Intifada is like it's part of this chanting of this whole red-green coalition of Marxists and Islamists that basically want to change the world order and fight Western values, essentially. So that's what I see over here. This is really what is interesting, the way I see it. Another expression of the, I guess, the threat on the West. Bjork, the singer, published this map, and it happened that last week I actually mentioned it. Okay, this is Bjork. Okay, you can see it's from her account. Last week I was talking about it. I said it's a propaganda map. I don't have time to explain. I think it was James that asked me about the populations, the demographics of Palestinians in Israel and in the West Bank and all that. So I used this map and I said it's propaganda, but now I actually, since Bjork tweeted it and since people responded, this is actually what it is. Okay, so over here on the top, the green supposedly shows you the size of Palestine and how it was shrinking since the first half of the 20th century. It was shrinking, and Israel was expanding. Okay, that's the propaganda, of course. So over here, someone corrected it and says, okay, like in the 20s, 30s, 40s, it was under British mandate. Okay, so it was not Palestine, like it was not Arab Muslim sovereignty over here since the Ottoman Empire. Okay, it was British mandatory Palestine. Then there was the UN partition plan, which was rejected by the Arabs. Then it was controlled. Different parts of it were controlled by Jordan and Egypt. Gaza was controlled by Egypt. It was a military regime over here, very brutal one actually. In Jordan, they annexed it and gave citizenship to the people, but Egypt never gave citizenship to the Palestinians here. And in 67, Israel really took over these territories and Sinai as well. And since 1993, we have a peace accord with the Palestinians, and we're there ever since. So this is actually the context. So Bjork was corrected by this whoever created that. This is something that I'm actually thinking about making a little video about it. This whole support of Gaza worldwide by EU or by the UN or by whatever organizations, that's what built the infrastructure of Hamas essentially. Okay, and that's what filled the pockets of some of the leaders some of Hamas leaders are billionaires. Where is it from? I mean, it's either drug money and international aid that is going into their pockets basically. So the question that I mentioned even 2 or 3 weeks ago is, who's going to renovate Gaza? And why should a donating country would put money on what exactly? On another brain of terror? So just think about it, where your tax money goes, and what influence you have on your representatives in regards to that. I'm not saying that Gaza is destroyed. Okay, the city of Gaza is like smashed. You've seen it. They'll need a lot of money to international effort to rebuild it. If like 2 million people are going to live there, and Gaza was like 1 million people, so who's going to give that money to what? Like, who's going to be the ruler? So this is a massive conundrum that I'm not sure that we're going to understand in the next few months. It's going to take a while. At the moment, Israel is busy with achieving its military goals. A Catholic procession for Israel. It was very interesting to see that. If some of you live in New York, maybe you've seen it. And that's it. There's a long segment now that I want to share about the Palestinian Telegram, but let's stop here, and maybe I'll do it in a different order. So if there are any questions now, then you're most welcome, and I think I'll do something different. So feel free. That's the update basically.
So Itamar,
Yeah.
in my opinion, Israel needs to declare sovereignty over Gaza and the West Bank.
Yeah.
Like immediately, like just declare that the game is over. The Palestinian issue is so that's number one. And then number two is to determine, whether these people can stay in an integrated, I can't even pronounce it, in a society where Jews and Arabs live together, or give them the option to leave and put international pressure on Jordan and Egypt and the other Accord members to take anybody that wants to leave. So I can't understand why Israel won't do that. And what is your opinion on that? Is that
this is
is
the
that
type of
a
like
stupid
things that I want
question?
to have a full video like, and I probably gonna I have some of the script written actually, like what are the in the aftermath of the war, like how is it going to end? Okay, so there are a few scenarios that I want to share, but to ask you directly, it's not just you that think that. There are Israelis, including in the parliament, that say that no, we should annex Gaza. That's it, like game over, like you said, and some will be simply pushed to the southern part of Gaza or to Sinai altogether. There are all kinds of ideas and thoughts about it. I think right now in the cabinet, the focus is on the military defeat of Hamas, and we want to keep things like blurred for the future because maybe it's just not the right time. Like we have to, not to divide the skin of the bear before it's even hunted. Okay, that kind of like this mentality. But these thoughts are in the Israeli discourse. Like this barbaric attack cannot be just okay. Like this was another round of violence. It's not another round of violence. This is not another round of violence. Every Israeli understands that. Every Israeli acknowledges that. And how exactly you punish the Palestinians, and not just the Palestinians, in the broader context, how do you punish the ideology, basically? Okay, it's like an Islamic jihadist ideology. How do you punish it? So let me go back to something I mentioned earlier. Okay, so in '67, the ideology of Jamal Abdel Nasser of pan-Arabism, I can unite the entire Arab world under my leadership, and then we'll attack Israel, and that's it. That will be the like our main objective right now as a united Arab world. Once that collapsed, the Muslim world started to chant "Al-Islam huwa al-hal." Okay, the Islam is the solution. Okay, and since then, quite consistently, okay, they, as far as they're concerned, they prove that they are right. Okay, so there was the Islamic Revolution in Iran, and then Israel folded from Lebanon because of the pressure, the military pressure of Hezbollah in 2000. The second Intifada broke shortly after that. Okay, they felt incentivized by, when you put enough military pressure on Israel, they fold back. So Arafat said, nah, there's no point. Not that he thought that for 1 second that he's actually going to be peaceful with us, but after the withdrawal from Lebanon, it's emboldened him basically, and then he moved to the next phase. Okay, we'll go forward with the second Intifada, and then a few years later, Israel folded in 2005, folded from Gaza Strip. So all that emboldened the Islamists, saying, we don't need to negotiate with Israel. We just need to keep the military pressure going, keep the jihad going, and ultimately they will fold back. So now it's a moment that Israel should say, okay, like you crossed a line, and now you have to, your ideology need to be punished, not just the people. Okay, the ideology should be proven by Israel that it's not successful, not fruitful. And how do you do that? Through, like you said, annexation of parts of Gaza Strip or the entirety of Gaza Strip. This is like the type of discourse that is going. Okay, so if they, in a way, if the Islamists think that Islam is the solution, we need to disprove that assumption. Okay, how do you do that exactly? There's like a whole range of ideas, from just military attack all the way to annexation. So this is, and I'll probably make a video about it in the coming days, a few minutes videos to explain the scenarios. So that's really a part of the discourse. I can tell you that the amount of rage on what happened in the Israeli society is very, very high. It's really, really high, and the spirit of battle is very, very high. And Israelis are not, again, this is like an answer. This sorry, the way I'm going to phrase it, that captures most of the ideas. There will be no other. There's no next war or next operation in Gaza. That's it. Like there will be no other ability to have war from Gaza after that. They won't be able to wage war on Israel anymore. That's the last war in Gaza. These are the type of phrases that I can think of. So that's where it stands. How exactly it's going to materialize, I don't really know. But like ideas like what you expressed and like similar ideas are like in the Israeli discourse right now. I must say it's not exactly an act of even revenge. It's an act of justice. See, so that it's an act of it's an act of making sure that the Islamists understand that they're gonna lose from their jihad. That's the idea. Okay, so
but they, you've already won the 67 war. The territory, is under your control. So I think, and Chris and I have been direct messaging each other, but I think that you just need to convince either this president or the next president that this is what you're going to do. Don't surprise them, and convince them that this is the only logical solution. Then once you get that president on board for the annexation, just do it, and I think it's the time,
Yeah, so I'm not very familiar with the dynamic between not the leaders, but between the statesperson and like in the advisors in Israel and the State Department in America. Okay, how exactly their discourse goes, I don't really know, because a lot of that is between these officials that we don't necessarily know their names. It's not about Biden and Blinken necessarily. It's a lot of it is between discourse in slightly lower level, still strategic level, but slightly lower than the actual elected officials. So what exactly is going on between them, I don't know. There's a lot of political considerations for the elections in America. There's a lot of other considerations that are not a part of that. But my focus actually is on the national security of Israel. And so what is the national security interest of Israel itself? That's really what's matter. And I can say that the way Israelis see that in their pedestrian terms, this is the last war in Gaza. That's what the Israelis want. How exactly our professionals, let's say in the army and the state, in the foreign affairs ministry, in the government, how exactly they execute it, I don't really know. Yeah, so that's what I can say about it, I think. But I will make a video about the different scenarios, I believe. So I'll let you know when it's ready. Okay, something on the chat. Who made Lebanon take the Palestinians expelled from Jordan in 1970? The Arab League. The Arab League. Okay. Okay, so I want to do. I want to read a little bit from the Quran, actually. So this is what I'm going to do now. I want to read to you a few things from the Quran. Then I want to have a quick Bible study as well. Not a quick one, a Bible study. And then I want to show you a little bit of the Palestinian Telegram. You don't have to stay all the way to the end. It will be recorded. If you cannot stay, it's fine. Just want to show you what's going on over there. So, okay. So this is from the Quran, and the verses that I'm going to read to you are talking about the jihad, basically. And I shared this with you because I actually saw it in different it's in their Telegram. Okay, so it's really a part of their discourse. Not surprising. You're going to read the verses. So we're going to read the verses, so you'll understand the context. But I bring these verses because it's actually in the videos, in their editing. So I saw that it's in the Palestinian discourse, in the jihadist discourse. So let's take a look. This is from chapter 4. If you're not familiar with the Quran, it has 114 chapters. The first ones are quite long, and the order of Quran is basically from the longer chapters to the shorter chapters, basically. So the chapter 4, the women, Surah An-Nisa, it's quite long. I think like 160 or so verses. So let's take a look. O believers, take your precautions and go forth, either in groups or together. There will be some among you. It means go to war, basically, mobilize or go to war, basically, either in groups or all together. There will be some among you who will lag behind, so that if you face a disaster, they will say, Allah has blessed us for not being there among them. Okay? So those who don't join the army of the believers, and if something bad happens to them, they're saying, oh, God blessed us for not being with them, otherwise we'll be dead. And then, but if you return with Allah's bounties, they will say, as if there had been no bond between you, between those who normally wouldn't go to war and you, Prophet Muhammad. We wish we had been there with them to share the great gain. Okay, so now they're upset because, oh, good thing that we didn't go to war, otherwise we'll be killed like them. Or if they are successful, if the Muslims are successful, they're saying something else. They're saying, too bad we didn't go, because otherwise I will get a large gain, meaning the booty, basically. So these are the hypocrites, basically, that are not really interested in joining the holy war. Let those who would sacrifice this life for the hereafter fight in the cause of Allah, and whoever fights in Allah's cause, whether they achieve martyrdom or victory, we will honor them with a great reward. Important to know that in the Quran, we is Allah. Okay, it's actually the one God, but it's all over the place. Like you'll see plural verbs left and right. We is actually the one God. God will honor them with great reward. Okay, so if you are a jihadist, if you are fighting for Allah, you'll be rewarded either in this world or the afterworld, in the hereafter. So that's again shows you an incentive for martyrdom in the Quran. And what is it with you? You do not fight in the cause of Allah and for oppressed men, women, and children who cry out, "Oh, our Lord, deliver us from this land of oppressors. Appoint for us a savior, appoint for us a helper, all by your grace." Okay, so what is going on here? Will you not fight again for the cause of Allah, for the oppressed? Okay, so who are the oppressed? The Palestinians, men, women, children, that want to be delivered from their oppressor. So as far as the commanders of Hamas concerned, they are the saviors. Okay, believers fight for the cause of Allah, whereas disbelievers fight for the cause of the devil. So fight against Satan's evil forces. Indeed, Satan's schemes are ever weak. Okay, so fight for him, and God will give you victory. So different videos and photos of the jihadist training, or actually in the attack on October 7th, you've seen these verses and many others on the videos. That's what it says over here. It's a part of the quotes that I read to you. And yeah, this is on Telegram, so people can respond. People apparently loved it. Okay, so that's wanted to share here with you. Any questions before we move to Samson? I know it's quite shocking. I mean, but just read the Quran. Part of it is there, part of it is in the Hadith. Holy war is a legitimate way to promote their religion. So that's jihad, basically.
I have a question to the other topic before, if I may.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm not familiar with the Arab League. Is this a body that could today make a decision like in 1970?
It's not as powerful, no.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, it does exist, but the Arab League, again, under the leadership of Egypt, was one thing, and then after the peace agreement with Israel, Egypt kind of lost its primacy over there. For a while, I think Egypt was actually expelled from the Arab League and then returned. So it's like, again, 1970, it was kind of like a deal in the Arab League. Okay, we'll just, they asked the Lebanon, Lebanon was like the weak part of the Arab world, and the Arab League kind of forced the Palestinians from Jordan to move to Lebanon. Okay, good. So I want to talk about Samson, and I won't be reading a lot. I want to show you. I want to talk about his Samson and Gaza. As you know, his second wife was from Gaza, a Philistine from Gaza. The Bible doesn't say that she was actually married to Samson, but that's the traditional interpretation. And then Samson died in Gaza. There is a moment that Samson potentially could defeat the Gazans without, the Philistines of Gaza, I mean, without dying. So I want to talk about that. I actually want to start with, before we move forward, just to give you some geographical context. So with the help of Google Earth, I want to show you where the events take place. So this is Israel, okay? Jerusalem is pretty much in the center, not too far from the Dead Sea. Tel Aviv is over here on the west. And Samson is a very unique judge. He's a judge that is fighting alone. Okay? He's completely alone. He has no army, unlike, I don't know, Iftach and Gideon and others. He's fighting alone. He's one-man army. And the way he's fighting is by engaging with the Philistines through women. Okay, so through these women, different women that on the border, some of them are maybe Philistines. It's not always clear, by the way, if the woman of Timnah, is she actually Philistine or not? Delilah, is she's a Philistine or not? It's not always very, very clear. Probably the woman of Timnah was actually Philistine. The woman of Gaza was Philistine. Delilah, it's not so clear that she's a Philistine. So anyway, what you see here is not too far from Jerusalem. It's then the footsteps, the foothill, or the Judean lowlands, you can say. Okay, not the actual mountains, but a little lower than that, not too far from a city called Beit Shemesh. And what I marked here in yellow, that's the area of the camp of Dan. Okay, so why is that important? It's important because the tribe of Dan, according to the book of Joshua, was supposed to have all this land, see, in blue. But they never inherited this territory. They were limited to the mountains, as their enemies, the Philistines, had chariots of an iron, and it was just impossible for them to conquer it. But then you should ask, okay, but there are 12 tribes, why Dan has to fight alone? So yeah, the tribe, the coalition of the tribes was not very solid at that point, and Dan basically was found himself quite alone against the Philistines. So some of the Danites basically moved to the north, and some stayed over here with Samson. Okay, so this is a little bit of geographical context. The red area is the area that is ruled by the Philistines. And it's actually, they ruled even further into Tel Aviv, but just for the sake of this explanation, you can see the different cities they had, like Gat and Ekron, and Ashdod and Ashkelon. It's all in the Israeli Torah right now. Then we have Gaza, which we don't really know the actual ancient part of Gaza. Where is it? As far as I'm aware, there are no archaeological digs of like the Philistine Gaza. I'm not sure if they even know where exactly it is. So that's as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm wrong, by the way. Okay, so my focus is on the following thing, on the verses that I'm going to read to you. Okay, sorry. Here. Samson is going from the camp to Gaza, and later, as we're going to understand, he's taking the gates of Gaza to Hebron, or to the mountains that are near Hebron. You can read it in two different ways. I think different interpreters say that he got the gates of Gaza to Hebron. Okay, so just remember that this is the journey that he did, and we'll try to explain a few things about it. Okay, so just remember what I just explained. Again, Hebron, Gaza, and the camp of the Danites, the family, the tribe of Samson. Okay, let's take a look at the verses. So I'm going to talk about the gates of Gaza and about the death of Samson. So in the book of Judges, chapter 16 speaks about like the famous part is Samson and Delilah, but it starts with these verses. One day, Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute. He went into the city of Gaza to spend the night with her. The people of Gaza were told, Samson is here. So they surrounded the place and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, at dawn we'll kill him. Okay. Now there is a word that I actually want to highlight here. It's the Hebrew one is where is it? 16. Vayitchalshu. Vayitchalshu in Hebrew means they made themselves silent. Okay. Over here, they made no move during the night. Okay, they made themselves silent. It's also a word that means they had a secret between them. Okay, cheresh. Cheresh could mean something that is in silent, quiet. But it's also the same root of plowing. Okay, so you see, Hebrew is a very complicated language. So where is that idea of plowing? Okay, they did something in silent, but they are plotting against him. So they are plowing the field and put the seeds. And when you put the seeds of your future action, at first, no one knows that the seeds are there until they grow. So there's something silent about it. And you'll see how this root, harash, plow, silent, okay, is going to play later. So let's continue, verse 3. But Samson lay there only until the middle of the night. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the 2 posts, and tore them loose, bar and all. He lifted them to his shoulders and carried them to the top of the hill that faces Hebron. Okay, so some are saying he walked not too far from the city to a hill that faces Hebron, and some say no, he actually went to Hebron. If he actually went to Hebron, it means that he climbed up, this is like, what is that, 45 miles walk, plus something like that, 40 miles or so, plus carrying the doors of Gaza, which are very heavy, from sea level up to a mountain of like 800 and something meters, so 2,400 feet above sea level. So just imagine this Samson, this strong guy, carrying the gates of Gaza to Hebron. And then it's silent. Then it moves, after this verse, it just moves to the story about Samson and Delilah. Okay, but there's something going on here that we need to address. Samson is from the tribe of Dan. And what is the city of Hebron? The city of Hebron is not just a random city. Okay, so of course the tomb of the patriarch is there. The patriarchs is there. Abraham and Sarah, Rebecca, Isaac and Rebecca, and then Jacob and Leah. They are buried there. So the patriarchs are there. But Hebron is also the capital of the tribe of Judah. So Samson, in a way, he's coming to the tribe of Judah, saying, we can attack the Gazans, we can attack the Philistines now. We're oppressed. We were oppressed by the Philistines long enough. I've been fighting them pretty much on my own for the last 20 years. And I need your help. We should join our powers, our strength together, you, the Judeans, and other tribes, and we should attack them. And if you go through the whole sequence of the stories in the book of Judges, you see that not all the tribes are fighting together. In many cases, you see that in the coalition of the tribes, sometimes just few tribes are fighting in different wars. The coalition is not very strong. But the book of Judges does start with the wars that are led by Judah, the tribe of Judah. And in a way, towards the end of the story, we see that Judah is like busy with his own thing. And Samson asked for help. You didn't help us conquer our territory. And that's why not even half, most of my tribe is actually in the north now. He left because he couldn't inherit the land from the Philistines. And now I'm telling you, I broke the gates to Gaza. That's it. This is our time. We can attack. But the tribe of Judah doesn't help. And in other chapters, I think like 1 or 2 chapters before that, Samson is being captured by the Judeans, and they hand him over to the Philistines. So the relationship is really bad. And the question is why the tribe of Judah doesn't help. Why okay, other tribes up in the north, okay, they're not there. But Judah and the Danites are very close. They have shared border with them. So much so that it says that it's not in the Bible, but it says that it's not exactly in the Bible. Let's say it says that the mother of Samson was from the tribe of Judah. So it's really complicated now. I got this very, very complicated. I'm trying to explain to you that Samson is very upset with his brothers. Why don't you help me? Like, I tore down the gates. This is the time for us to attack. So Judah is not participating in that. Why exactly? You can come up with all different reasons. One of the reasons is that Judah knows when to attack. It's a lion. That's the symbol of the tribe of Judah. They say, no, God is not with us now. This is not the right time. We should wait for the right time. We cannot allow these kind of crucial moves in the life of a nation to be dictated by a guerrilla warrior like you, Samson. This is I'm imagining the conversation. Okay, so we cannot allow you, soldier, self-appointed, not self-appointed, of course, but I mean, you are a guerrilla warfare. You're a guerrilla warrior. We're not guerrilla warriors. We're an actual army, and we cannot allow you to dictate these moves. So if God is not interested, then we cannot do anything, and we should wait. So it raises many questions, like why would they say such a thing? Again, this is I'm imagining the conversation, and what brings me to think that is that ultimately the Philistines will be defeated by King David. So the tribe of Judah will defeat the Philistines at some point, but on their own terms, in the right time, with the right person. So again, you can accept that or not, but that's this part anyway. Okay, so there was a moment that Gaza was about to fall in the hands of the Israelites. Samson did the heavy lifting, okay, but the tribe of Judah did not participate. Let's jump to the end of that chapter. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him down to Gaza. This is after Delilah basically betrayed Samson and cut his hair. And then it says, binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding grain in the prison. Okay, so at first, the Philistines were silent and they they plotted, okay, but the word was harash, meaning a lot, like to plow against Samson. And ultimately, he is grinding, okay, he is grinding in the prison, grinding grain in the prison, okay. But the hair on his head began to grow again after it had been shaved. And then later, as we know, he was presented to the temple of Dagon in Gaza, and the Philistines are celebrating, saying, "Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands." When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands, the one who laid waste our land and multiplied our slain." Okay, killed many of us. And now Samson is praying his last prayer. Then Samson prayed to the Lord, sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more and let me, with one blow, get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes. Then Samson reached towards the 2 central pillars on which the temple stood, bracing himself against them, his right hand on the one and his left hand on the other. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. Okay, so this is the end of Samson in the city of Gaza. Okay, so my focus was on the first 3 verses of chapter 16 of the book of Judges. The moment again that Samson can, like, he wanted to conquer Gaza. He asked his brothers in the tribe of Judah to do that, and they didn't help, which raises a lot of questions. I tried to give you at least my answer. I think they were waiting for the right time. So that's it. There is a thing from the Palestinian Telegram that I want to share with you, but if you guys want to ask anything, or if you have to leave, it's perfectly fine. Okay. Paul, I see that you published something over here, which is great. If you guys want to join that and download it to your computer or ask Paul. And yeah, so there's the last part that I want to talk about is the Palestinian Telegram. I thought I'll share a few things with you and what's going on over there, but I don't want to hold you longer. So it will be recorded. If you have to leave, don't worry about it. It will be recorded, and that's it. Okay, so let me just share this with you. I went through this Telegram every now and then, but for the sake of this presentation, I looked at it a bit more thoroughly, and the themes it's very repetitive. It's a propaganda tool, basically. So what exactly are they showing? They're showing the destruction in Gaza, as if to show the inhumane Israelis that are destroying their cities. And on the right side, what you see here is their military success. Some rocket blew up this car. So these are the type of things that you'll see over there. Okay? Destruction on both sides to show the inhumanity of the Israelis on one side and to show their military success on the right side. And again, some of the bombardments on Gaza. You can see it here too on the left picture. And on the right, they're showing that they don't have any ambulances, and they have to get those who are wounded or even killed in a different style of ambulance, okay, meaning a wagon and donkey, to show the misery. Over here, this is a picture from the attack on October 7th. I didn't choose something that is too graphic, but what you see here is from the attack on the music festival. And what I care about is actually the Arabic that you see here. It says, views from the Blessed Crossing. That's how it's called. The attack is called the Blessed Crossing of the border between Gaza into Israel. So again, not a terror attack, of course, or anything like that. The Blessed Crossing, and clearly you can see that people love it a lot. So that's what you see here. I was actually quite surprised to see that some people are saying that they are heartbroken, but I assume that although it's a Palestinian telegram, other people could just do that. So, but I can see that people are quite cheerful. And what you see here is an RPG launched on a Israeli tank, and I'm not an expert on that, but I think what we see here is how there are little I guess it's a not rocket, little missiles on every Israeli tank that actually intercept RPGs. Okay, so I'm not familiar with the exact terminology of it, but they're actually an active protection to the tanks. So it's not just the tank is made of steel, it also has these little missiles that if they see that there is an RPG coming, or cornet or whatever, they intercept the rocket, or sorry, not the rocket, the RPG. So I'm just saying that it looks like, wow, like a serious hit, but it's actually not. It doesn't scratch the tank. But anyway, they are very proud of that. So you'll see a lot of that on their Telegram. You'll see a lot of jihadist videos and training, and they're very proud of their mujahideen. Mujahideen is like the warriors, okay, the warriors in the name of Allah and jihad. So in this picture, you can see Yahya Sinwar. That's the mastermind of the attack. He's basically the head of the military branch of Hamas. He's in Gaza, as far as I'm aware. I don't know, maybe he's not, but that's I'm pretty sure that he is. And you can see the flags behind him: Turkey and Iran and other Arab and Muslim countries. And the Mujahid, okay, the soldier over here is holding a Israeli weapon, basically. He's holding an Israeli gun. He's very proud of that they captured Israeli soldiers, and we have their guns. This is not from now. This is from, I don't think it's from now. Let's continue. That's how they're not the rockets, but how is it called? Mortar shells. Okay, that's how it's launched. Okay, they have all kinds of underground locations where they shoot these from. So Israel has a way to detect where either rocket or a mortar shell, where was it shot from, and then the Israeli Air Force is attacking it. So that's again, I'm just trying to show you what we're dealing with, and also to show you again what's on their Telegram. Gaza Live, this one is from Gaza Live Telegram channel. So they are showing their warriors and what they do. Over here, this was very strange. When I first saw that, I said, what are they talking about? And what you see here is a bunch of Palestinians killed in Gaza. And the way they are lying over there, the wounds and all that, it's pretty obvious that someone shot them. Now, they are saying, like in their, when they published it, they said these are casualties of Israeli bombardment. Now, it just doesn't look like that. Okay, so I was very, very skeptical. Israel don't shoot civilians, and if it's from the air and like they claim, okay, so it doesn't look like that. The scene doesn't look like that. So Amjad Ta, which I think he's from Bahrain, I'm not sure. He's not exactly a journalist. He's more like a part of the administration or something like that. He's writing the following. The video source had sensitive content, which is why I didn't upload it. As you can see from the post, the usual one to blame, they said airstrikes. Does this look like an airstrike? So this is exactly my thought when I saw it, and then he actually expressed it that it doesn't look like an airstrike. So what is happening over here? One of the interpretations, which makes a lot of sense, is that these are Palestinian civilians trying to leave Gaza and shot by Hamas snipers, not allowing civilians basically to leave the city. So when we're talking about the human shield, using civilians as human shield, they really don't allow people to leave the city. So that's what you see over here. In other parts, this is in southern part of the Gaza Strip. I'm not sure exactly in which one. Maybe in the Arabic over there it's written, but it was difficult for me to read. And anyway, this is that's how UNESCO schools, not UNESCO, sorry, I said UNESCO, UNRWA schools look like. UNRWA is the UN Relief and Work Association of the UN for the Palestinian refugees. We're talking about the fourth or fifth generation of refugees, of course, which is very, very strange of itself. And in this school, those who were evacuated from northern Gaza, they're staying over there. And they had a little party, and you can see they are singing. And the song, it's in Arabic, but the song basically says, "We will never leave." Ma nerhal. Ma nerhal means in Arabic, we will not be transferred, or we won't go into exile. Okay, so all these talks that basically Israel want to transfer and all that, or Israel. Not that I'm saying that official Israel is saying that. There are prominent members that are expressing these ideas, but it's not like coming from the cabinet. But all these thoughts of pushing out the Palestinians, they are basically singing against it. They're saying, no, we're not going into exile. So this is the party that you see over here. There are many protests, pro-Palestinian protests all over the world, including the Muslim world. This one is from Turkey. And from the description, it says that they are surrounding some American base in Turkey, I guess. This is, again, from that's what they wrote anyway. Again, this affiliation, okay, if we want to attack Israel, you also attack its allies. So the Iraqis attack American interests in Iraq. In Turkey, they attack some American interests in Turkey, at least surrounded it and threatened it. So you see what's going on. It really changes everything. Over here, you see a hand with a lighter, basically. And it says in the bottom, with a light, like if you, with this instrument that you light fire with, okay, just a lighter. There is we are obligated basically to fight with a lighter and the heart of a lion. Okay, so this is the idea that you can turn the enemy into dust with your lighter. So fight with it, just have a strong heart, a heart of a lion, and do that. So this is an ongoing incitement in their Telegram channels as well for Muslims and Arabs in Israel, outside of Israel, to use fire as their tool. On the left side, it says it looks like blood. Okay, I don't know if it's actual blood or not, but what it says over here is Gaza is resisting. Okay, Gaza is resisting, or Gaza is fighting basically, but Gaza is resisting. It says down here that it's written in blood, but okay, maybe. And then on the right side, you'll see a lot of pictures of children that were injured or wounded or even killed. Okay, I must say there is a thing called Pallywood. It's a thing. Like we know there are like we have videos of them, you know, with the smiling children as they are, you know, putting all the fake injuries on them. So it's a thing. I'm not saying that it's always like that, but I'm just letting you know that it's a massive part of their Telegram is to when they show people that were wounded, it's 80% of it or 90% of it are children and babies. So this is a part of that ongoing propaganda, as if Israel is just targeting babies, as if we know exactly where the babies are. But this is an ongoing thing. Again, I'm not saying specifically about this picture, whether it's real or not. My point is that we do know that Pallywood exists. This whole show of using fake injuries, showing fake injuries, showing fake, like not fake, just real children, but they're not dead. They're just, you know, they have their makeup on. So just want you to be aware of that. It does exist, and that's what you see a lot over there. This was quite interesting. They used a street interview of Israelis. It was published on some Israeli channel. Okay, a street interview with Israelis. What do you think we should do with Gaza? And then Israelis, of course, express a lot of anger. We should wipe them. We should kick them. We should whatever. Okay. And then what they did over here, they give I think they give the right translation, but what is going on over here? These are the civilians that that you said we must not kill. Okay, so as if to demonize basically the Israelis, saying these are the civilians that you said we shouldn't kill. Those who want to kill us, we should kill them because they want to kill us. So the whole thing is that it's an ongoing propaganda since pretty much forever that the Israelis are interested in killing Palestinians, right? Like every Israeli is interested in killing Palestinians, and a lot of it is projection. Okay? A lot of it is projecting your thoughts on the other. It started from a long time ago in the conflict, for instance, the 1920s. Important example for that is the story of the massacre of Deir Yassin, famous story from the Independence War, where about 100 people were killed in a village called Deir Yassin. Some of them, a few dozens of them, were children, women, and all that. But Deir Yassin became like a symbol. It's a village in Jerusalem, just West Jerusalem. Some of the houses are still there, actually. Deir Yassin became a symbol of all the bad things about the Jews. All of them, that's what they want to do. They want to do Deir Yassin. They want to do this massacre. And it had a paralyzing effect back in 1948 on the Palestinians because, oh, wow, they really kill civilians. And I don't know, they came up with all kinds of stories around the rapes and over there. Anyway, the Palestinians themselves and the Arabs blew out of proportion the whole story of Deir Yassin, to the point that instead of encouraging the Arabs to fight against the Jews, it's actually had the opposite effect. They start to run away. In 1948, they ran away because of the stories of Deir Yassin. So it's a part of what I'm showing you here again is that demonization of Israelis and the projection of their own understanding on the Israelis. So of course now after this massacre of October 7th, Israelis are really angry, okay, and they for whatever, like these are people on the street, okay, so they're not diplomatic, of course, So Israelis are now very angry. But if you'll go to before October 7th and you'll do the same interviews, people say, just leave them alone over there. We don't care about that. And if you go before the second intifada, people say, I don't know, we work with the Gazans, okay? And then if you go before that's the second intifada. If you go before the first intifada, say, sure, I'm going to Gaza myself for shopping. So you see how the relationships start to deteriorate, okay? The first intifada, then the second intifada, then what happened now. So of course now people are angry, but I'm telling you, like if you ask Israelis had the same questions a month ago or 2 months ago, and clearly 20-something years ago, before the second intifada, people would have completely different answers. So it's terrorism that kind of, so let me just rephrase it, the incitement of the Palestinians against Israelis, leading to terrorism, and then the terrorism leading the Israelis to a harsher line. Okay, so in the 1990s, clearly Israelis were like very much supportive of the Oslo Accord, and later after the second intifada, much less than that, and after 2014 and all the failed negotiations, less, and now forget it. Now no one wants to have any negotiations with the Palestinians. Okay, so this is, I think, it. That's what I want to share with you from the Telegram of the Palestinians. I know it was a bit longer session than the usual, but I thought I'll pack a lot. So I hope you learned something from it, and thank you for staying. And that's it.
So, Itavar, does Samson represent the government of Israel?
I don't know. The people of Judah is the Americans.
Right,
what is that?
the left eye and the right eye.
Yeah.
The left and the right, they were blinded, and then they were in prison as a government, and now they're going to bring down the house.
I have no idea.
And there won't be and because another result of this war, right, will be the government is going to be culpable. It's going to have to be a new government too in Israel, something different than before, right? Where there's so much infighting.
Look,
it's interesting.
The Israeli politics is beyond every prophet's ability to prophesy and to describe. It's a very wild politics. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome, and thank you for staying. And yeah, how far is Gaza from Jerusalem? Justine is asking. It's what is that, like 80 miles? I think it's like an hour 40, maybe something like that. An hour 30 drive. Okay, so this is it for now. I hope to see you soon. I'm not sure if tomorrow. I'll let you know. All the best, guys. Take care.